I am absolutely fired up hearing this, as a Blues insider has revealed some key details on what Jim Montgomery is planning to do with some players in particular this season. And these details have major implications on the success of this team this season, with the expectations being so much higher than they were last season. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Blues Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos on the regular are not subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get the numbers to about 50-50 here on the channel. So if you haven't yet, go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this is the place to be for all your daily St. Louis Blues news, updates, and content. This channel is built for Blues fans. We're going to break it all down in this episode, so let's get right into it. Obviously, I want to start with the old lines, and the reason I say they're old lines is because they're running different lines in practice now, and this is from Puckpedia. They still have Brayden Schenn on the second line. Well, things have changed a little bit. Brayden Schenn is now on the third line, which is pretty interesting because that second line looked really good last year, as is and pictured here on your screen. They actually looked very good. But they signed Suter in the offseason this year, and he's now on the second line. As we saw in last night's preseason game, boy, oh boy, does that look like it's going to be a dangerous line in season. Dylan Holloway, also another guy I really want to touch on in this video, looks awesome. I mean, that's as much as I can put it, honestly. Like, there's not much to say. He looks amazing. So Jim Montgomery, and this is from Lou, Jim Montgomery on the Holloway, Suter, and Kyrou line, that new look second line. And I really, really love it. A lot of people still want Brayden Schenn on that second line. I'll get into why I think it's actually a good idea for him to be on the third line in just a second. Now, Jim Montgomery said, I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, they scored 2 goals, pretty nice goals as well. That one goal, as you saw off the top there in the intro, absolutely electric, great passing play from obviously Holloway and Kyrou. But besides the 2 goals, I didn't think they gave up all that much, and I thought they continued to support each other really well. And I think that's a big thing from the coach here, because when you look at that new look second line, they are going to be electric offensively this year. I'm expecting Holloway to be a point-a-game player. We know Kyrou's good for like 70 points. He could probably put up 40 goals, all of that good stuff, especially on this line. And now with Suter up the middle, that's going to be extremely dynamic, a really dynamic line, because Suter is actually very responsible defensively as well. So I was thinking when they put this line together, you're going to get all offense. This is perfect, right? But maybe there's a little bit left to be desired defensively. That's not the case. They actually look very responsible so far, and that looks like it's going to be probably the most dangerous line on this team heading into the regular season. And a line that they just put together is super exciting. I'm really, really excited for this. On Holloway, what you love about him is his second and third effort on pucks. I've said it a couple times last year. This is a second and third effort league. We've seen that time and time again, especially in the playoffs. And he is relentless on pucks. That's why he comes up with pucks. That's why everyone wants to play with him. And that was head coach Jim Montgomery on Dylan Holloway. And if you take a look at his stats from last season, 77 games played. He remained relatively healthy, obviously missed the playoffs and all of that, and I do still wonder what would have happened if he was in the playoffs. But 77 games played, he had 63 points, and that was only his second full year in the NHL. He's only 24 years old. This guy's ceiling is unbelievable. Like, we're not even scratching the surface of this player. I am fully expecting him this year to be a point-a-game player at least on that second line. He is a play driver. He can put the puck in the back of the net, and we're seeing it in the preseason. He is gearing up for an absolutely electric season. I also wonder if they take his ice time up just a notch. And in speaking about that specifically, Jim Montgomery actually did have something to say about his ice time, and he said he's just in tremendous shape. He can handle a lot of ice. He went on to say being able to get him PK will be able to get him up into the 18-19 minutes a night range, which the way he's continuing to develop, that's the kind of ice time he's demanding right now with his play. So really, really good stuff and news from Jim Montgomery there. And that kind of answers our question right there in terms of ice time. This is from Lou as well, a couple observations, from the Blues loss to the Stars last night in their preseason game. I'm getting fired up. I'm ready for the season and the Blues to win. But Not only did Holloway score twice on Tuesday, but just watching the game, his attention to detail right now seems to be pristine. Just to further the quote that I got to earlier, he went on to say, if I was to ask anyone on our team, who do you want to play on your line? He's going to be one of the first names that comes up because you know you're going to get the puck and you know you're going to get offensive opportunities because he is relentless. This is what you need to find success in this league now, and not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. So Dylan Holloway is going to be the ultimate key for this team, but not just him alone. That second line. I am absolutely fired up hearing everything about this, that they're rocking with that second line. That is going to be an extremely really good line for this team this season. The first line, I'm excited too. Like Robert Thomas, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to try and make the Olympic team. Very excited to see that too. Snuggerud, I'm expecting big things, but you never really know. First full year in the NHL, right? So we don't know exactly what's going to happen with that first line. That second line, showing a lot of promise. I'm really excited. Now, I do want to get into some other things, some updates from practice. So from practice, Neighbors and Torpchenko were held off the ice today due to soreness, and they're not skating with Group 1, the main group. And Montgomery said that they didn't want to push anything. Makes sense. It's preseason. We've seen so many disastrous injuries across the league right now, so that makes a lot of sense. And Neighbors was actually skating with the second group, so he's on the ice, he's getting some work in, but it's not as physical as skating with the first group. So that is one of the updates from practice. You can see here the updated lines from practice today. We have Buch on the top line with Thomas and Snuggerud, obviously, that second line that we've been talking about. They're together. Now, I wanted to get into this third line and some of the defense pairings as well, as you can see on your screen here. So that third line is very interesting to me because they're playing with a lot of things right now, right? Bukestad's actually on the wing in practice right now. And of course, there's a couple guys out due to injury. So guys are going to shift around and nothing's going to be perfect throughout a regular season anyway. But he's on the right wing right now. Schen's third line center. Want to talk about that. And Lucic is back in on the fourth line. Pretty interesting. And Matthew Joseph has looked pretty good through this preseason. Looks like he's going to make this team. Now, that third line is interesting. It's not going to stay that way. But all things equal, if everyone's healthy, I think Schenn being on that third line is a really good thing. Because Schenn could play on the second line, but he's the leader of this team. That third line is going to really dictate, I think, and set the tone a lot of nights, and not just the regular season, but in the playoffs as well, when the Blues inevitably make the playoffs this year. But that's going to be a tone setting line. You can get goal scoring out of it. You're going to get physicality out of it. They're going to be responsible defensively, right? So that's going to be very interesting to watch. And that dynamic with Neighbors and Schenn, I think, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I'm looking at that third line too. I think Schenn moving down is not necessarily a demotion. He plays a specific way. He is the leader of this team. I'm excited to see what that third line brings to the table too. And dare I say that the second and third lines are the most solidified and the ones that you actually know can be reliable, I think. And that might be a hot take. Let me know how you feel in the comments. But I think they're the most reliable lines right now because you know exactly what you're going to get out of them. So it's going to be interesting. That top line, I'm expecting big things too, but I have to say I'm expecting, I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of lines 2 and 3 heading into the season. Of course, things can change, there's injuries, all of that stuff, but we'll see. The defense pairings, pretty much the same that they've been rocking the whole time. We're going to have another video on the 7th defenseman because it is Kessel. He's not skating with this group right now. It is Kessel, but there's someone else that is showing signs that could possibly steal that spot away from Kessel, which I think is interesting. And of course, the goaltenders are the same. No change there. So going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. But to take it back to this, again, just switch basically at this point in time, Suter and Schenn on these lines. Going to be very interesting to see what happens there if Bukestad stays on that third line as well. But let me know in the comments how you feel about all of these updates. That second line, I'm fired up hearing this. You know, Jim Montgomery is going to be rocking that, and I feel like they're going to be able to unlock this team, and it's going to take this team to another level. So stay tuned for another video. We're going to have another video out either today or tomorrow on some other updates from the Blues because there's a lot going on in practice and other updates, and there's one player in particular that is turning heads, including Jim Montgomery's heads. Last thing before we wrap up here for this episode is comment of the day, which I think actually brings up a couple good points. And they went on to say the team needs to come out of the gate strong and keep momentum going. The last many seasons didn't start out well to where they needed to go on a tear just to get into the playoffs. Consistency will be key for the season instead of the usual roller coaster season. Dvorsky should be the third line winger. I do somewhat agree with that. And obviously we've been talking about it in videos. And also I have been saying if there's no future for players like Texier, Joseph, and Kessel, trade them away for assets instead of keeping them, causing roadblocks for your future players. So let me know in the comments how you feel about that and everything we discussed in this video today. Of course, Blues fans, a lot of them are split 50-50 on certain players and some of the decisions that are being made, right now. But we'll see what happens the last few preseason games here and what cuts are coming to the St. Louis Blues and who's being sent down, who's going to end up making the team, because there is still a lot up in the air right now. There's a lot solidified, that is for sure, but a lot up in the air as well. Let us know how you feel in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything St. Louis Blues.